to video number 2, and in this video I just wanted to talk a little bit about daily living skills and how I manage with that, because one of you in the comments a couple of weeks ago, it might have been a bit longer than that, suggested that they would like me to talk about it. I think they also suggested I should talk a little bit about sexuality at some point, and I'll try and do that. I haven't really got much to say about sexuality, mainly because it's not something I really do. But I might talk about it another time. But I'm going to focus on daily living today. So this comes under the term executive functioning. I think that's right. And I didn't really know anything about this until comparatively recently. Even when I got diagnosed, I didn't know anything about it. Because I guess it's quite a kind of like academic term, but it's floated around quite a lot these days, and it's meant to be one of the main things that autistic people struggle with or can struggle with. And definitely, this is something that it definitely affects me. I think it's to do, if I understand the term correctly, it's to do with like organisation and planning. I think, is that right? Organisation, planning, and making decisions, and just general sort of daily living skills. Yes, I do really struggle with that all my life. It's been a running theme throughout my life. I think it kind of has meant that I've developed a lot slower. For my age, I'm a lot slower at picking certain skills up, and my parents have had to do a lot for me growing up, longer than say they would have to do say for a typical child, in terms of like daily living and stuff like that. And my mum did all my organising for me. Like, I really struggled at school with doing homework and things like that, and organising my planner and working out the structure of the day. So I needed a lot of support with that, and my mum gave me a hell of a lot of support with putting together like structures for my revision for exams, and helping me pack my bag and do my homework and all of these things. Even when I was at university, although by that point I had finally, and I figured it out sort of around A-level time, when I finally figured out like how to actually write essays. And when I got to A-levels, my parents were like, right, you need to start doing this on your own now. So they helped me throughout my GCSEs. And I had finally worked out the pattern of how to write essays. It came to me late, but I did finally work it out. But I still got a lot of support from my parents in terms of the actual organisation, like making sure all my files were put together, and that carried on into university. Although obviously I did all of the academic work by this stage on my own, I finally worked it out. My parents still did all the background organising, in terms of keeping everything neat and tidy, and all of that malarkey. And obviously I needed a lot of support with things like being reminded to change my bed, because otherwise I just would not do it. I would leave things just dumped all around the bedroom. My parents would be like, you need to pick this up off the floor. Just things like that. And now as an adult, obviously I live on my own now, but I still get a lot of support from my dad because he just lives one door down, which is quite handy. I can do basic stuff now, like I've got into a routine of like taking the bins out. That triggers so much OCD, I put it off, but I can do that now. I've learned how to do that, and I have finally learned how to make my bed. I learned that in my early 20s, but it takes me so much effort, and it's the hardest thing ever, just because my coordination, it takes so much effort, and it takes a lot longer, and it's like really hard work. Again, afterwards, I'm literally spent. My brain is spent, and I'm just sitting there because all my energy has been spent trying to do the bed, which is really difficult, and that's without someone making me do it to speed, which that's another problem. But yeah, things like that. I forgetful. Well, not forgetful. That's probably the wrong word. I know things need to be done, but I kind of don't do them, even though I know they need to be done, because it's too much effort to do them. So my bathroom, for example, is really dirty. I don't do things like, I know you're supposed to like clean the toilet like every now and again. It doesn't happen for me for like weeks, months, and then eventually I'll be like, oh crap, I need to clean it, and I will eventually try and clean it, but it just doesn't get done properly, and it's still really dirty. and my support worker was helping me with that, but now obviously because of COVID I can't get any practical hands-on support with that. My dad can't come into the bungalow because I don't want him contaminating stuff. My dad helps me with the garden because I can let him food through the side gate. My support worker was going to help me with the garden, but obviously now because of COVID she can't do that. So that's a bit awkward, but my dad's doing the garden at the back. Eventually I was going to try and learn how to do the lawnmower and kind of get into a routine of doing garden, but I would need support with that because of a whole kind of thing about. This is the other thing, right? I get really fixated on things. Like when I'm engrossed in my interests, they take up all my energy, and then it's really hard for me to then do things that aren't connected with my interests because I get so fixated on what I'm doing. Because I've got this one-track mind, so if it's connected to my interest, it will get done. But if it's not immediately connected to my interests, such as tidying up or doing, then it tends not to get done. I'm okay with like washing up. I'm pretty good at washing up and stuff like that. That's one of the things I do. Washing up cups and plates and stuff like that. I do because I can't stand food sitting around. So it's kind of a bit hit and miss though with me. But other things like keeping dusting and stuff like that just never gets done unless I have someone there making me do it, or it's in a plan or routine. And I'm really hopeless at doing forms or like files or bills, envelopes I'll ignore. I need someone to remind me to open them, and then when I open them sometimes it's just too stressful. If it's like a form, I'll look at it and it's almost enough to send my brain into spiral because it's just looking at this black ink and I'm like, bloody hell, I can't do that, it's just way too stressful. Things like benefit forms I need support with because otherwise they just won't get done and then I won't get the money I'm entitled to because it's just too stressful for me to fill them in. It just takes too much effort and energy. Cooking obviously I'm fine, but again obviously that's my special interest, so obviously anything connected with my special interest is going to be cool. But it's things that are outside of my special interest. And like, to give an example of like a hyper-focus thing, I can be sitting there like really bursting to, like I might be sitting there like at the computer, like really hyper-focusing on something, and I really need to go to the toilet, but I won't go to the toilet. I will like be sitting there for like I could be sitting there for like a really long time and I really need to go to the toilet, not going to the toilet because what I'm doing is more interesting. Or I could be sitting there and I feel, I need to go and get a drink because I'm like really thirsty, and I won't go and get a drink because I will eventually, it's just that the thing I'm doing is just more important at that point in time than what I actually need to do. So that's just to give you one example of like the sort of hyper-focus thing. When I'm really in the zone, everything else doesn't happen because I'm really, really in the zone. Because for me, it's either like 100% hyper-focus or it's no focus at all. So yeah, that's just to kind of give you a little bit of insight into it. So yeah, I can be quite disorganised in terms of parts of my life. Parts of my life can be very organised, the bits I'm interested in. I always do this video. That's an example of me being very organised, but that's because I'm interested in doing this, so obviously that gets done. Things that are like really interesting to me or that are kind of part of my routine will get done, but they're like this kind of very narrow bits that I have to do, whereas the other stuff doesn't get done. So it's really hit and miss. So sometimes, I will clean. I will occasionally, I will think, I will try and clean, but then it's like, where do you begin? Where do you start? How much do you do? And then I'm like, ugh. Yeah, and it's hard. And it's exhausting. Well, my life generally is exhausting. A lot of time is just spent procrastinating and not really doing, just kind of like idling because whenever I do something, anything, it takes up so much brain capacity. So it's really hard for me to move coherently from A to B without a great deal of procrastination in between. Again, when I am really, really engrossed with something, I can then lose touch with time. Again, I'm like, whoa, where did the time go? And then that can be quite annoying because you get like way too engrossed in something. But anyway, I'm going to stop now because I don't want this video to run out. I just wanted to give a little insight about my problems with organisation and generally kind of daily living, and obviously I do need a lot of support with it, but I'm not getting that right now because of COVID. So things are getting rather dirty around my place. I'm trying to keep on top of it, but it's difficult and things are getting more dirty, and that stresses me out because I don't like mess and I don't like dirt. So yeah, but hopefully eventually when COVID's over again I can get into some sort of routine with my support worker. Okay, so I really am going to finish now, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, thank you all for your comments. Do press the like button if you like this video, and do press the notification bell if you want to be notified of future videos. Do please subscribe if you haven't done already, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week, so thank you for watching.